Hello and welcome to this Calls for Confetti channel. Susan here from Making Craft Studio. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a fun card for an anniversary or any occasion. So I've gone ahead and prepared a lot of the pieces for today's card. So I'm going to show you what I used and what I've prepared. So for my printed paper or decorative paper, I'm going to be using the Painted Papers. It's a 5.5 by 8.5 paper pad. And I'm going to be using some of the pinks today. So I've gone ahead and cut down one piece of the pink stripe, 4 by 2.5, and I chose for my stripes to go this direction. You actually could turn them either way that you wanted. This is a piece of scrap we'll use later. I've also cut down a piece of pink cardstock that measures 4.25 by 5.5, and then all I've done is just folded that in half. You could score it at 2 3/4. I think that's what a half would be, but I just folded mine and then I just pressed it down with my bone folder. And then I've cut a piece of white cardstock to 4 by 2.5 as well. So these two are the exact same size. And then I've used my dies to cut out several pieces. So I've cut out 3 of the Love Bigfoot dies. And so I've cut 3 of him out in black. And then I've cut out in pink, I've used the XOXO, and this is the outline die. And then with the actual letter die, I cut that in black. And there that one is. And this is part of the Sweet Talk die set. Let me get that closer so you can see the wording. So Sweet Talk die set. And there should be links in the description below to all of these. I'm also going to be using the sentiment from, oops, a piece of die cut piece flew off. So I'm also going to be using the sentiments from Love Bigfoot Sentiments. Let me see if you can see that. And I'm not decided yet which sentiment I'm going to use. So I will decide that in a few minutes. So I'm going to use that. And then there are dies to go with that, but I'm not even sure yet. So I'm still making the card. So I have a design in mind. I've never made this card. I just like to create with you all, and we'll see where it goes. So first off, what we can do is let's prepare our little Bigfoot here. And then here is the stripes. So I want to have these stripes going through the heart there. So I'm trying to decide which direction, and I think I want them up and down. So what I want to do is I want to cut this down so that I'm just going, where's my little piece here? Here's the heart that cut out of that. And so I just want to make it a little bigger than that heart so I can glue around it and attach it inside there. So let's just see if that, and we may just have to trim it down a little bit more. So yeah, you see there, we're going to have to trim down off of here and here to get that on the inside there. So let's just trim just a little bit there and see. Okay. So I think what may be easier is I'm just going to trace my heart out onto this. I think that'll be a lot easier so I don't have to keep trimming and guessing. And then I'm just going to just trace it onto the back side here. And that way, then we can take a look and we can see that we have our heart. Get my smaller scissors for this. And we want to leave some edges over here so that we can glue that onto his hand. But we can just take and lightly cut here so that we have this not showing at our heart. And so then I'll just cut it down like this and then come out like that. So then we'll come down at the bottom and we're just going to cut a little bit off because we want to be able to glue that. We could have, you could use your die. You think you could use it to cut that out, but then it wouldn't be a way to glue it in really good. So I'm just going to trim it like this, and that way we can just glue it to his little hands in there. So let's see if that works. You don't want to cut too much off that, your edges of your heart showing, but that's perfect there. So I'm just going to go ahead and, I see a little corner here showing. So I'm just going to go ahead and, I know this looks rough, but you're not going to see this. No one's going to see this. We're going to have all of this hidden on the inside, so it doesn't matter how bad it looks. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right here. and then a little bit right there, and maybe dots. Just put little dots at the top of that heart and the bottom of the heart. Just kind of put little bitty dots of glue so that it all stays, but no glue shows and no paper edges show. So then I'm just going to turn this down and I'm just going to stick it in there. Then what I want to do is, before it starts to dry, flip it over, make sure no edges are showing and that we have it on really good, and we do. So I'm just going to use this so I don't get my hands all gluey, and I'm just going to press it down because I can wipe that off later. If you get a little bit of glue, just try to clean it up real quick, but we can always use our glue eraser in there at the end if we have to. Okay, so now we're going to do this. We're going to do it again the same way. We want to make sure we have our stripes up and down, so we're going to just trace this heart. Make sure my stripes are up and down. I'm just going to trace the heart here on the back. Once again, we're just going to roughly trace it because we're not worried about, you know, the actual shape. We're just trying to make sure that we fill in that space, but that we leave enough to glue on each side. So I'm just going to do this. Oops. You know, I may have not made that far enough over because we need a little bit more there to hold on. So let's just do that again. And put it here where you can see, and I'm just going to trace around it. I'm not going to worry about that I have that other one there. We will ignore that one because it's just on the back side. So there we go. It's just roughly giving us an idea. So I'm just going to go up there, over, and then kind of go like this. Just being roughly doing this. Then we're just going to cut through here. Then we're going to test it. So now for this one, we're going to do a little bit different. Since this is going to be on the back side, we want to be able to see it from the back and make sure everything lines up. So I'm just going to line it up there and see. And as you can see here, I've got a little corner I need to cut off here. And I think there was one here. Let's just see. So once again, we want to line it up so we can see it on the back. See what all is showing. Make sure we get it all off. Seems like a lot of work for such a little card, but you know what? It's a lot of fun. And I like doing projects sometimes that just slow down and just enjoy the process, and even if it does take a little bit. Crafting is supposed to be relaxing and not a race. So things like this may take a little longer, but they are a lot of fun. And this is maybe a style card you would only make once or twice, or if you find that you like cutting these little pieces, you'll be fine too. And you may find a better way to cut. This is what worked for me, so this is how I'm going to do it. But if you have a better idea, just let me know in the comments below. I love hearing your ideas, and I learned so much from the crafting community as well. So that's the whole thing about doing these videos and things. I like to learn from you as well. So it looks kind of strange that we're gluing it onto the front side of this die cut, but just keep in mind that's going to be hidden. We're not going to see this. So let me see here. Make sure I get it all lined up right inside that heart. So there we go. Don't want to get glue on the outside. And if any is showing, you still could come in. If you saw, I see a little white there. You could always just ink that, or you can just snip just a little off there. Just try not to cut into your little guy. Okay, so now we have our pieces. So what I want to do is, I'm just going to move this out of the way. Okay, so I want to layer all these pieces up. So this one's going in the middle, so I'm just going to add glue all over. And then stick that together. Just line up all your edges, which is really simple. Press down. And then we're going to add this one on top. Oops, I am making a huge mess. All that glue. I think I'll wipe some of that up before. Just have a paper towel over here that's I've been using. Just going to dab some of that so we don't make such a mess. Well, such a mess, yeah. Okay, so we're just going to add that there. Just once again, we're just going to layer it up on top of itself, lining up all the edges. And I got a little glue on them, so we're going to let that dry for a minute, and then I'll use my glue eraser to get that glue off. Just want to make sure everything's layered even. You don't want edges sticking out. You want it to look like one solid piece. And so see, when you flip it over, you can see the heart. And when you flip it this way, there's a heart as well. So while that's drying, let's go ahead and work on our other pieces so that then we can use our glue eraser and get the extra glue off. And I'll show you how to do that. So I'm just going to layer this XOXO up. Very simple, just adding glue to the back. And we're just going to stick that to its other piece, the outline piece. I love when word dies come with the outline piece because it helps to make it pop on a card when you have something to back it with. So it helps it to pop out. So there we have that one. We'll set that over to dry. And so I want to stamp this one now. Okay, so I'm just going to take the stamp and line it up where I want it. I'm thinking about right there is good. Then I'll just press. Oops, is it straight? I think it is. I am the world's worst with sentiments not being straight, but that's this is handmade and not machine made, so we're not going to worry about that. So now we're just going to stamp down. And I may have pressed just a little too hard right there, but I think I'll flip it over and try the other side because I did press too hard. So be careful with that. Maybe we don't need to press as hard. When you have a stamp with these little letters, you have to be careful. Oh, that looks great. Okay, I like that. When you have a stamp with little letters, you always want to be careful because if you press too hard, you could smush them out. I do want to get my eraser here. I got a little smudge there. It's okay. Also, this stamp set comes with hearts. I'm thinking I want to put some hearts around the wording. Okay, so I've been testing out my inks to find the color that I think looks good with the paper I'm using. So I'm just going to use the magenta hue, and I'm just going to stamp that heart. I'm going to stamp one here, and then I'll stamp another one. And that was a smudge there, so I thought let's just cover that smudge up, and then we'll put one there. We've got to do things in threes, right? So then we'll put one here, just random. So there we go. We have our hearts on there. So now I'm just going to add this to the inside, and you can see I had to flip it over. That's going to be hidden. No one will know that we messed up on that piece, and we'll just hide that on the inside of our card. So I'm just going to stick this on the inside here. Got a piece of paper there. Just going to center it up. I think that pink looked beautiful with this paper. I think that was perfect. I'm glad I did some tests and chose one. So then you can also, so when you get done, you've still got plenty of room to, you could put a little note here or just sign your name. And if you wanted to, you could add another piece up here to make your note if you had a long note you wanted to write. So now we're just going to glue this one onto the front. This card comes together fairly quickly once you have everything figured out that you want to use. And then we're just going to center that up. And then we have our piece here. So I told you I was going to erase it. So I've got my glue eraser out, and I'm just going to clean off anything that left glue here. Okay, so I'm going to put him right here, and then an XOXO right there. So let's just get some glue for him. And remember, we're only going to glue half his body. So what we want to do is we want to be sure that we only add glue up to just this line here. So I'm going to just, kind of eyeball just a little bit of glue, half his body. And we'll just add him to our card. And I think this is a fun way to make a card. And by adding several layers, we've made him thick enough that he is not going to be flimsy on our card. And then I'm just going to come back in with the XOXO, and I think I'll put it about right here. But you can see here that since he's 3 layers thick of that black paper, I'm just going to take a sheet of the black paper that I cut him out of, and I'm just going to cut myself some squares that will fit behind it. And I'm going to cut 3 of those. Not really squares, they're rectangles, but you can cut any shape. And if you had a punch, you could just punch them out, but I'm just going to do it this way. And I may have to trim them off some, we'll see. I'm just going to cut me 3, just quickly. And this is going to be like our foam tape, but that way it'll be the exact size we need for the height of our paper over here. So then we'll just attach it there. So I'm going to trim it down just a little bit more. Maybe if I can trim them all together. They may be too thick. This is pretty thick cardstock that I'm using. Now, if you knew exactly how thick your paper was and you had foam tape that matched exactly, just use foam tape. But this is a great way to match it up if you're unsure. And you'll know that this is going to match because it's the same paper. And then I think it's going to fit just fine, the back side here. So yes, we're just going to glue that down. And so if you prefer to use a tape runner, you can do the same thing with the tape runner. You would just layer one layer after another. So you don't have to use liquid glue like I am. I just prefer liquid glue most of the time. For me, I do so much crafting that I feel like I use so much tape up when I use the tape runner, so I prefer to just use my liquid glue because it doesn't cost me as much. Let's see there. We'll just sit that down right there. I'm trying to find the exact spot I want it. Now you could use the love from the die set, or you could leave this plain. You could even use one of the sentiments instead. Like you could, die cut that out. There's a die cuts with it, so you can like stamp this out and you would die cut it, and you could just put "I can't believe you exist" across there. So you could use anything there, or any of these sayings. You could put them there. I just wanted the XOXO. I really like that, and so that's why I used it. But yes, you can take this idea and go all different ways with it. Okay, so I do think we need a bit more on this front of the card. So I think I want to add maybe some hearts. So let's see here. So I'm going to take this one. Just going to wipe with my finger since it is new. I've never used that one. Then I'm going to test it on the scrap that we were using before. And I want to see if this color that I was using works well on this scrap. I want to see, is it going to blend in too much? So the stripes are going that way on my card. Oh, that would look cute. So we're going to add, I'm just going to add a few hearts. Okay, I think I'll just add them here. There's one. And then maybe one here and one here. Now that one didn't show up as good, but I do like that. So here's our completed card. I really love how it turned out. I think it's a unique idea for a card. So it will still fit in your A2 size envelope. Just when you create yours, be sure that where you put his feet is going to make a difference. So I've got mine, there's enough room here that you could raise them up quite a bit and still be okay. So mine, it measures about 5 and just a little over 5 inches. So maybe like 5 1/8. So just pay attention to that. If you want to raise his feet up a little bit, then pay attention that you can still fit it in your envelope. I think that he's high enough because you don't want him too high that he might get floppy. But where we made him thick, he's really sturdy right now. And so I think it's really cute. I know you can't see. I may have to take a picture that way, but it's so cute with him standing up. You know, when the card is standing on a surface, he's standing there sending you love. So I think that's adorable. It'd be cute for somebody's desk. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed seeing me create this card. I hope that you will give it a try. And if you do, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Making Craft Studio. I love to see when you create something that I've inspired. Also, you can tag at This Calls for Confetti on Instagram as well so that they can see what you created. And be sure to like and subscribe to the This Calls for Confetti channel so that you can find more inspiration. And I'll be back in 2 weeks with another project. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.